hydrologic analyses and flood control efforts. So with that, Tom Riley.
Thanks, John, and thanks everybody for having me and accommodating my attendance in Zoom. I told Mr. Thorburn that not many people have a marker on me, but now he does, because I told him I would do the keynote and then had to back out for another commitment. So I'm quite certain that John's not going to let me forget that one anytime soon. So enjoy that marker while you have it, John. So again, sorry, and my apologies for not being there in person. However, as many of you have probably experienced on some of these type of seminars, it's actually allowed folks that might not otherwise get to participate actually come and participate, at least from the Zoom setting. So that is one unanticipated, unintended consequence that's a good one from the pandemic, which let me just take a moment to note about the pandemic and offer an additional apology to some of you. In a perfect world, by now, I would have liked to have talked to many of the water managers, water users across the state. A lot of you I might know or have met in the past, but still not in this capacity. And while I'm at my first maybe 90 days, I hesitate to say 90 days or 100 days here since that's overused. It's not really allowed me to do that. In fact, this isn't a complaint, it's just a reality. I've had a difficult time to interact with my own staff because of some of the restrictions. The work continues and the work's getting done well, but it's just not as easy as we all know in this new world that we're living in. So the title here, and John and others had picked it, but I thought it fit pretty well. Where's DNR going from here? And I hope to talk about that today a little bit more and share with you some of my thoughts from my perspective. So for those that don't know me, just a little bit of background about me. I am a lifelong Nebraskan. I was born in Crete, so this makes me an ex-Cretian. And you can use that to however you want to. But that is a reality. I am an ex-Cretian, formerly from Crete. I went right here to the University of Nebraska at Lincoln. I received a Bachelor's of Science and a Master of Science degree in civil engineering. My focus has always been in the water resources area, although I would note in the early part of my career, I did more on the contamination water quality side than I have in the last 20 years. The last 20 years, as John noted, I've worked previously with the Flatwater Group, where I was a founder and an owner, and likely have worked with a number of you on some of your projects in the past, and certainly looking forward to doing that from a different perspective here in the future as we move on. Just a note on why I was interested in this position. I'm in a time in my life where I've had an interest in public service. I've worked with many of the people in the department in the past and have gotten to know them, and they're good people doing good work. And I wanted to see if I might be able to help expand that and continue that tradition, and also then have a chance to work with a lot of you in a different capacity than I might otherwise have been able to in the past. So a little bit about DNR, and maybe more through my eyes and how I see it, and our mission here at the department. Absolutely, our biggest mission is to safeguard the most important resource the state has, and that's its water. And doing that from a number of different areas, some that are shown here with surface water, groundwater. I like to start with the floodplain management and dam safety components of the department, just because they are an important piece that affect more than just our water use, but all Nebraskans in terms of safety and those issues. Our vision remains as it has, and that'll be the management of our our water, engaging folks like you to make the best use of this resource that really makes our economic clock turn here in the state. So just a few keys for DNR in order to fulfill that mission of safeguarding our resource, and how they look through again the lens of my eyes. So 6 areas of emphasis that I'd like to touch on today include some of our strong leadership and working on science-based solutions for that leadership in order to maintain our state and water management from a local perspective also. I know this is important to all of you to be able to work together, and really that's the only way to move the ball forward, is to evaluate it from all perspectives and all interests to find the best path forward to maximizing the use of our water now and in the future. Just a couple of figures here of note. We're watching always the data and making sure that the understanding of our water interests are in a good spot. And that brings me to area number 2, and that is providing a level of high quality of information and services through all of our facets of the department's divisions and folks to be able to bring those services to bear on the community. This impact of our mission on data and really safeguarding that information comes into play on a daily basis. Just yesterday, at least in eastern Nebraska, some of the ice melt has caused some flooding. So that's something that we watch closely and want to be able to work with other agencies, sister agencies, whether they're state or federal, to be able to make sure that that information is getting to the citizenry and providing a safe use of our streams and lakes. One component that many of you would be familiar with is our decentralized water management plans, implementing these in a customized fashion, working with our natural resource districts and other stakeholders in the state to be able to make certain that we do have long-term sustainability and the best use of our water. Some of you have heard me say that no one cares about flooding unless it's flooding, and no one cares about a drought unless it's dry. It's in those times that we need to be certain that we are managing our water best. In a flood time, is there a way to recharge, store it so that when it's dry, we can pick up that use and try and average things out? It's just not quite 2 years, I guess, since we had our flooding incident in 2019. It's still fresh on people's minds, but I'm sure, like me, all of you are watching our new conditions, and you can see it on this map as of the end of the year, where we have a lot of drought sneaking into the state, and we're going to need to accommodate that. And while we've had a run where we've had maybe more water than we needed, now we're coming up to these uses where drought is more of our interest, and we can't stop planning for these and working together to find ways to best mitigate and smooth out the curve, if you will, of those conditions. Fourth area here is our public engagement and being able to enhance that. We talk to folks like you all the time. I see a real need to reach out for all water resource agencies and stakeholders to continue to reach out to a broader group of the citizenry in Nebraska and create some citizen hydrologists, not just to have an interest in our water, but to have a passion about it. A lot of times we get lost in the background of looking at detailed information, providing plans, and trying to make that best use of our water, whether it's dry, whether it's wet. But we need to reach out and continue to educate folks on a younger basis, their parents, what water is in Nebraska and what it's all about. Many times we've all heard the story that the Ogallala aquifer is, drying up. Well, and that may be true. And I'll maybe back up a slide. The Ogallala aquifer is shown here on this map, and certainly in places of Kansas and Oklahoma, New Mexico, Texas, they've done a pretty good job of that. Even our neighbor over in Colorado, and while we have areas that we work to manage and have concerns, overall, our water supply is a fantastic one. We sit in a different style of Ogallala aquifer and always are working to, at least in my experience, working to help people understand that it's not the gloom and doom that some of these other states have. However, we still need to be able to manage that resource and make it available to us, and maybe times when we do have a place that we need water. The fifth area I wanted to talk about for a moment today is the idea of we need to protect our existing water uses and continue to do that in a collaborative fashion, that we can develop and implement projects through our planning, our administration, our permitting processes that allow us to maximize and the best use of this water. I've heard this criticism in talking with people from outside the state, from inside the state, and I'm sure some of you have too, that we are criticized sometimes about our prior appropriation system and our correlative rights system, and how anybody from looking in thinks that we can manage that. I look at it as an opportunity that other states may not have. It provides us with a lot of flexibility to maximize our water use, getting back to the dry times, the wet times. Our system of water management and integration with integrated management plans, working with NRDs, working with our other stakeholders and water districts, I truly believe gives us the strongest and most flexible tools that others don't have in the United States, but we do. And we need to be conscious about how best to make use of that and making the best decisions for all future users. And this is true even in our structure of our laws and our legal system. We have a precarious Rube Goldberg machine set up of our rules, regulations, and laws. And we have to tend to that to make sure it doesn't collapse, or that we have some unintended consequence from any potential change that we might see to those, or a different interpretation of those. So it's our responsibility here at the department, and I would submit the responsibility of other stakeholders and water interested parties like yourselves, to make sure that these are interpreted in a way that allows for the best and highest use of our water resources. My sixth note here, an area of emphasis, is our agency-wide services and supporting the information technology, again, not just for users like yourselves, but to others within the citizenry, providing that data, that information, working with the NRC through the water sustainability funding projects to continue to move Nebraska forward to a place where we can maximize our water use. We're certainly blessed with having all the water that we need. We all recognize that it's just not perhaps in the right place at the right time. But if we work together and continue the kind of projects that I've worked on previously and see others working on now, we'll be in a very good place as we move down the line. And again, I think our system allows for a maximum flexibility to allow us to fulfill that very mission, to keep water where we need it, highest use, to accommodate as many interests that we can with folks and allow them to expand and maximize their own interests. So I wanted to walk through that, but given that this is Groundhog Day, and we all have a history of repeating ourselves and repeating our mistakes, I thought this was a good tie back to the title of this presentation of where we're going from here. And where we need to go is to take one from Bill Murray here for you movie aficionados, given that it's Groundhog Day, and reaching back to the early days of my life for the Caddyshack, the classic film that it is. Today's a day we can celebrate that. This is a great quote. Don't get trapped in the past. You can't change what has already happened. Don't think about your errors or failures. Otherwise, you'll never do a thing. And I think us, you as water managers, can learn a lot from the little gopher and Bill Murray in this picture to make sure that we are using history to the best ability that we can. We want to understand what our errors and failures might be, but let's learn from them, and let's find a way to move forward and again maximize our interest in our state's water and use it to the highest ability that we can. That's my interest. That's what I will help the department continue to do. And I want to do that through allowing this base of understanding of our water and how agriculture and water use and hydropower, that these things are so important, but yet I believe underappreciated by a lot of folks in the state. So I'd be asking you all to help me lead out that continued education effort just beyond our own little groups of water users. I think we all understand the problems and challenges we have, but having the wide citizenry understand that will only make developing solutions and implementing them that much easier as we go forward. So with that, I would offer or entertain questions that the group may have. I'm not sure, John, Todd, how you've been doing that, if others have presented like this, but I'm sure I can watch and see if somebody wants to type a comment in or just share it verbally, however you want to do that.
Okay, thank you very much, Tom, for your presentation, and I'll take any questions we have from here in the Ag Center. Any questions for Tom Riley? Well, apparently you covered the topic pretty well. Do we have anything online? Yes, oh, I'm sorry, there is one. Yes, go ahead. Are you talking in relation to the Platte Republican diversion? Is that? Oh, okay. Tom, as you might imagine, a topic of interest around here is the status of the Platte Republican diversion water right application.
Sure, and let me start off with saying that there's not a lot I can comment on any level of detail. We'll be the decision maker on that project as it comes through. We recently did receive information about the objectors, and those were filed, I want to say late December. So the clock ticks on here on that component, and we'll continue that and start to process that out. And I'm trying to find my schedule to share with you, and I can't as I'm talking here, and apologize for not knowing it off the top of my head, but
just to help you out, Tom, it's my understanding, I think it is right now up to us as the water right applicants to respond to the objectors' objections.
Yeah, so those all went to the applicant, I want to say a week or so ago, all the objectors, and now that's in your court, and then we'll hear a response. What I don't remember is the timing on when your responses are due for that, John. So for that, I apologize.
I don't recall exactly either. I believe we have till sometime in March. But.
Broadly, though, I would comment in this sense on projects that look to any project that looks to manage water and within the state to smooth out some of the dry and the wet times. I think these are things that as a group, water users should continue to look at across the state.
Okay. Any other questions for Tom? Did we have any comments online? No? Okay. Tom, thank you very much for your time and for your presentation today, and we look forward to seeing you in person out here in Holdridge one of these days.
Well, I can tell you that I look forward to being able to travel and visit with all of you in the future. So stay safe. I hope the rest of your conference is a good one. I would note I saw that others were going to give an update at least on the Republican River, so I chose not to do that. Just the water supply at least is good for this year, but obviously with the drought creeping in, that's something that we continue to watch and work for. So with that, again, thanks for having me. Sorry that I'm not there in person. I can tell you I'd rather be there than where I'm headed now. So take care and stay safe, and I'll sign off.
Very good. Thanks, Tom.